Dante, what is it about the deficiencies of the mortgage servicers that justifies a principal reduction?
Well, thank you, Congressman, for the question. And as you point out, the deficiencies of the mortgage servicers, which principally have been documented by the examination of our sister agencies, are troubling in that they are both pervasive and within the scope of the examination is quite profound. And it is certainly a fair question to ask in those cases where violations of, for example, law have taken place. So it would be a reasonable question, I suppose, to ask in the case of an active duty soldier who has been foreclosed upon in violation of the Service Members Civil Relief Act, what is the appropriate penalty for that kind of activity, and what is the appropriate remedy and how it should be structured? Those are, of course, there are a range of alternatives with respect to those questions, and that's precisely why I have been glad that the Secretary of the Treasury has asked us to try to inform those deliberations amongst the agencies that have authority here.
Well, for instance, do you see a causal link between robo-signing on the one hand and a particular mortgagor or borrower being underwater? Is there a causal link, one to the other?
It's a good question, because robo-signing, in the way that it is most customarily thought about, is entails the systematically false provision of affidavits with respect to various judicial mechanisms around mortgage servicing in particular. And because, I mean, after all, this is not the furniture business. It's not as though the paperwork is somehow ancillary to the main business. I mean, this is financial services. The paperwork is kind of the point. I mean, the documentation with respect to these transactions is meant to provide investors with the comfort that they have and that they need in order to put money into the system, and is meant to provide borrowers with the confidence and protection that they have with respect to the credit transaction that they've entered.
General Strange, you testified that you're concerned that the proposed settlement terms would force a state like Alabama, which is a non-judicial foreclosure state, to become a judicial foreclosure state. Can you expand on that?
Yes, Congressman. My basic concern is that our state has chosen a method for handling home foreclosures. Our state legislature considered the alternatives and voted on it. My concern is that a settlement of some kind that imposes on not just my state, but the 26 or 27 other states, the majority of states that have chosen this path, is somehow altered or converted without the approval of the legislature that put in place the original plan. That's really my overarching concern. That kind of policy issue really, to me, seems to be a decision for the members of Congress here or for the members of the state legislature, not a group of attorneys general. Attorneys general are very good at enforcing the law and preventing future illegal activity. They're not very good, in my experience, economic policy experts.
Were you aware of the proposed settlement terms before they were sent to the mortgage servicers?
I have not been in the loop in terms of the details of the settlement, no.
Do you believe it's the role of attorneys general to be involved in setting national servicing policies?
I do not. I believe it's our job to enforce the law, to protect consumers. As I mentioned in my testimony, that's a top priority of ours. I believe the policy matters ought to be left to the policy makers, which are here in this room and Congress and in the state legislatures.
I yield back. Thank you.
Gentleman yields back. The gentlelady from California.